Welcome to episode 128 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
I just want a Fatebringer.
Gray.
Good evening, everybody.
And very special guest, Alicia.
Hey, everyone.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Hollow River. Welcome to the show, everyone. Episode 128. Very special guest, Alicia from Alicia Rose Art. How are you doing tonight, Alicia?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. We are huge fans of Destiny. And so with that in mind, you have been selected based on your interest in Destiny. But I want to go back a little bit further than that right off. You know what? Why don't we give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to everyone listening? Maybe give some pertinent details, maybe where to find you. I think this would be a good idea.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Alicia. I'm an artist, one of the artists for Destiny Tracker. You guys might have used their website a few times. We just built our own content team. You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at Alicia Rose Art.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I definitely have used Destiny Tracker. It is a great resource. I want to say that it's almost got too much information because sometimes I get lost. I'm not certain exactly what I'm looking at. Like somebody will say, oh, go to Destiny Tracker and pull up this information. And I'll find 3 different things that sound relatively similar. And then I'll find out that the words that they're using aren't the same words that the Destiny Tracker is using. But it's a great resource. And how very cool to be part of this team. Who else is part of your team?
We have a few streamers. A few I can mention are Danfinity. We have Pubin. I believe he just changed his name to Pubin Plays. We have a few artists as well that aren't on Twitter for some reason, so I can't really announce their names. But yeah, we're still building our team together, and it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool, and what a great opportunity, in the long run. Because I mean, if Halo is any indication, Bungie is going to be supporting this game for a very long time. Into the second iteration, third and fourth iteration, however many numbers they end up going to. There's a lot of growth possible here, and I feel like like with this show, we're coming up here on 3 years actually. June 5th. Or June 6th, I believe, was our first show in 2013, 2014. And so it feels good to know that the time and energy that I'm spending on this game are going to be repaid in them also loving their game. So very cool. Why don't you tell us a little bit about art for you? You're clearly more than just art for Destiny Tracker. While that's a great link into this world, where did art start for you? And is there like a favorite kind that you have, or like a favorite artist you'd like to sit down and have lunch with, but maybe they're dead now?
Oh, yeah. So I'm one of those people that actually started drawing really early. My grandma bought me how to draw books all the time, and she would sit down with me and teach me how to draw because she used to be an artist herself. But my favorite kind of art, what actually got me into drawing, was Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love that style of art. So that's what those artists, the creators of Avatar, are probably my favorite. They do amazing artwork.
I could not agree more. Avatar was an amazing series, and the art is really just the tip of it. Like again, something where the time and effort you would put into learning from them, duplicating their style, learning from them, taking it to the next level. This is something that's those people cared about that. It's like I remember not giving a crap about Avatar. I remember not caring at all about Avatar. Number one, Nickelodeon series. Who's going to care about that? And then you know what it was? It was the Last Airbender video game for the 360, where you could just get straight up 1,000 gamer score in the first like 2 or 3 minutes of playing the game. And I thought, haha, stupid cartoon, stupid game. And I don't know what happened. I sat down and started watching it, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. But the art really does stand out. Like those people really took a lot of time and effort and care in what they're doing. So that's fantastic. That's a really cool origin story.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know where video games started for you. We've had everybody on this show, from I started at Atari to Destiny was my first real video game. Where do you fit in that spectrum?
Yeah. So my dad actually bought me my first Dreamcast, I think, and then PlayStation 2. So I played a few of those games. I didn't have that many because my grandparents are really strict. But I guess you can say the first video game I purchased myself were on PlayStation 3 for Grand Theft Auto and Destiny. I actually learned about that game the day it came out and played it ever since. So yeah, Destiny is my first shooter because I didn't get to play that many. I started off playing stuff like Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter. Those are the games I would play over and over because, that's all I could play at the time.
That's really cool. I feel like I have a very similar, like I started with Atari, but it wasn't really my Atari. It was my cousin's Atari. And so like my parents would want to go out on a date or something. And so I'd go to my cousin's house, and he would all the time be like, oh, let's go fishing, or let's go play some handball or some racquetball. And I would say, how about we just play some Atari? And then I would cry and cry until we got back to his house to play Atari. And I feel bad about it now. I apologized to him on Facebook just like a couple of years ago, because I had to have been a pain in his butt. What about video games? But no, it's very cool. Dreamcast, absolutely one of my favorite systems. And I hated Sega until the Dreamcast. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like people finally understand. And then they stop supporting it and don't understand. That's a whole different conversation. So very cool. You learned about Destiny the day it came out, or the day you got it. Which one did you say? Was it the same?
It was, the same.
Okay.
So I know some people were disappointed, but I never saw any previews for it. And I loved the game without getting all hyped up at the beginning. So I fell in love with it as soon as I played it.
I don't think that there is a better way to have started with Destiny, if I'm being completely honest. Because number one, let me tell you what, as a non-shooter player, you say, other shooters suck. Other shooters are basically trash. Other shooters at this point in my game playing will give me like motion sickness. Like I get pretty bad motion sickness. Have to take Dramamine before going on a car ride where I'm not driving. If I'm driving for some reason, I'm fine. But other shooters are not. They don't have the nuance. They don't have the curve of skill. You know, as you play more and more, you get better. It feels better. Really, the only other games that even compare are Halo, which were also made by Bungie. So going into this, not knowing anything about it, I can't even imagine a better way of being introduced, because I actually got to play Destiny in 2013, January of 2013. I went down to Bungie Studios and I got to play, I got to test it out. And even from that point, I didn't want to play anything else. So, and then they start giving out information. They weren't even talking about it at that point. So I had nobody to talk to about this. And so as more and more information is laid out in front of us, it's just building it up to be bigger and bigger. And I thought the game was going to be insane. Like if you go back and watch episode number one of this show came out before Destiny came out, before the beta or the alpha came out. And I thought it was going to be insane. I thought the game was going to be so huge, you know, like watching other games of the time, like even games like Just Cause 2. That game is gigantic. Came out way before Destiny came out. And so when it came out, it was a letdown for a lot of people because of the hype around it. So you having no hype, I mean, it must have been just magical. It must have been just magical.
Yes, definitely. I didn't even know anything about the raid when it came out. I was just chilling in patrol on Venus, just running around shooting stuff, and I had a lot of fun. I guess the first time I actually spoke with someone on the game, I didn't know you can join other people's fire teams. I sent them an invite, not knowing it would actually send them a PlayStation invite, and they asked, you know, hey, why did you send us an invite? I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. And they're like, we're just farming for a Spirit Bloom. You want to join? And I'm like, I didn't know you can farm in this game. What? I didn't even know what farming meant. So I was such a noob. It was so much. I learned so much playing this game. It's amazing. Yeah.
You know, this is going to be a story that I hope I remember for a long time, because what you're doing is you grew into this game. You had no preconceptions, and every step that you were given a new outlet or a new activity or something, it's just, oh my goodness, this is even bigger than it was before. Like, how magical is that? I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Very jealous.
Meanwhile, we were looking at early footage. It's like, oh, you can pick up materials on planets. That must mean you can craft things.
Yeah.
Right?
So like all of our expectations just started to go down when we started playing it.
Right. And I mean, the bottom line, though, is that Destiny is an amazing game. It is an amazing game, even with how hyped it was in my mind and how hyped everyone else's mind. It's still a fantastic game. It's still a fantastic shooter, and it still has a lot of elements that games that are out right now still don't even have, that might not even get it because they aren't looking to do the same thing that Bungie is with Destiny. So yeah, crafting. I really wanted to craft. That was something I really wanted to do. But yeah, how cool, how very cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass the talking torch around the group for questions for you. I'm going to switch it up a little bit right now. I'm going to go to you, Jez. Jez, what questions do you have for our very special guest, Alicia?
That is horrible of you.
I know.
Because I never have any questions to begin with, and that's after everyone's asked.
Right, and Gray's about to pee his pants right now because he wants to ask a question so bad.
Maybe I'll just waste more time just so that Gray can't ask a question.
Right, you know what you should do is you should extrapolate what he's going to ask. You know, like what he's going to ask. You've got an idea of where Gray goes. Ask one of those questions that he's going to ask. I know you know.
No, I can't even think of what he would be thinking right now. He's wearing a metal hat.
He's writing it down on a piece of paper, and he's going to put it in an envelope and seal it. And then after you ask your question, he's going to open it up and reveal it to us. So
no, I just want to input here. Okay, I told Alicia before we started that did she bring her drink? And she said she didn't drink. And I said she might by the end of this podcast. Now she doesn't understand why.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't really have any questions because I can't think of any.
Jez is a good guy, Alicia. Don't let his stand
off. Oh, no,
off.
that's fine. I'm the same way. When we do our DTR podcast, they're like, oh, you want to ask a question? Don't really have any. So, yeah, I'm the same way. So don't feel bad.
He'll come up with a good one.
It's usually something completely unrelated.
Yeah.
You know what I'll get? I'll get like a message after the show, like an hour or two after the show. Well, no, he's probably going to be sleeping at that point. I'll get a message tomorrow and it'll be like, oh, I should have asked this question. And I'm going to pull out the rest of my hair because it'll be a good one. Jez is a good guy. He does more than sing and dance, I promise you.
Yeah.
Don't do either of those.
Don't lie, Jez. Doesn't look good on you. Okay, so why don't we go to Agrios? Agrios, what question do you have for Alicia?
Favorite class and subclass?
Warlock, as you can see right here.
Oh, yeah.
And Voidwalker. I love Voidwalker. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That was that's what I started the game with as well.
Mm-hmm.
As an artist, what do you think is like you said you're inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is there something in particular that you're a big fan of right now that you think is underrated or under the radar that you think everybody should go check out?
Good cue.
Ooh, that's a good question. Underrated. I might have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure. Now I've been so focused on Destiny with Destiny Tracker and all the projects we've been working on. So yeah.
Okay. Well then, what's your favorite type of project to work on for DTR? How about that?
Yeah. So I'm learning how to make thumbnails for YouTube and using Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. I haven't used that before. So I like doing illustrations for them when they do certain topics for their YouTube videos and podcasts too. I'm learning to not be shy and actually talk with others. So yeah.
Now, when you do the commissioned work for them, are they like, you know what, we'd really like a Titan like holding this thing here, or are you just set free?
It's a little bit of both. They'll give suggestions on what they like or what they would like to see, and then I'll do my own stuff on the side and show them if they want to use it or not. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is that it, Agrios?
That's it.
Excellent. And that stands, Alicia, the question about underrated or favorite show right now. Just hit us up on Twitter because I would like to know. I'd like to know what I'm certain something will stand out to you at some point. You're just like, oh yeah, that is really awesome.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know.
Sharks 3D Man, questions for our very special guest Alicia.
Okay, well, so let's start with this. You told us how you came in, to actually start playing Destiny, and your very first people that you met was kind of by accident, but you've obviously worked your way up to now doing stuff with Destiny Tracker. Why don't you explain to us how that came about? Because there's a lot of people out in the community that, when they meet other people that are, quote unquote, big in the community, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. How'd you meet them? So what was your way in order to get into that?
Yeah. So this actually happened on Twitter. One of my followers that saw some of my fan art for Destiny was like, hey, Destiny Tracker, they're looking for content creators. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I should do that. I'm still a student artist. I'm just doing fan art, not really anything professional. But he's like, oh, you should still do it, and linked me the application. Shout out to FWC for doing that. And I put in my application and they interviewed me, and that's how it happened. It just all happened at once so fast. So yeah.
Okay, now, so with your art, now I love your art. I think your art's amazing, and it's very it's a very specific type of art as far as what you're drawing, but what are you looking forward to as far as what Destiny 2 is going to bring to the table? I mean, obviously we've seen different shots in like the teaser trailer of weird animals. How are you feeling about doing alien stuff like that and using that in the type of art that you're doing now?
Yeah, I have yet to actually draw any of the enemies we faced in Destiny 1. And now that we're going to be seeing more, I might try to go into that. I draw a lot of figures, a lot of characters. That's my favorite thing to draw. So expanding to that might be something I'll be going into.
That's awesome. So what's the favorite thing that your most favorite piece of Destiny art that you've made? What's the favorite one that you have?
I would want to actually say one of my favorite ones that I've done so far is it was this very first one. I drew 6 Guardians on Bannerfall with the background. I wanted to impress the DTR team, so I put all my work into that, and I just love how it came out. I changed up my technique a little bit and actually put in a lot of time into it, so it's one of my favorite ones that I made.
Now, are you one of these skilled artists that can do something and it takes, only, a short period of time, or do you is it something that you have to work on for hours and hours and hours, take some breaks and go on like that, or how's it come to you as far as when you're actually doing your art?
It's a little hard to answer just because I have work also and school, so I do have to constantly be putting it down to go do that stuff. But if I didn't have all that, I feel like I could work on it for a whole day and have it done. It just depends on what I'm doing.
So with that, and especially saying that you've got other things going on, how do you put your time into playing the game? Because obviously you do play the game because you stream. Yes.
Yeah, that seems to be the only time I play. If I have the day off of work or when I'm streaming. So I do miss playing the game. When we're setting up our YouTube videos, we're like, oh, we want to play the game, but we got to get this content out also. So yeah, I miss playing Crucible. I like to improve in Crucible. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I feel like I'm not getting as much practice anymore.
So I take it that means you're a PvP kind of PvP player overall. I mean, you do other things, I know, but so you've gone from not ever playing PvP to starting Destiny and now becoming a PvP player.
Yeah,
that's funny. That really is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop with my questions because I'll sit here and I am known for talking and talking and talking and not stopping. And since Remy's been really mean and not let Gray ask questions, I'll throw it over to Gray next.
I really feel you, Alicia, on the wanting to, do you do your project or do you play the game? Because the reason you're doing the project is because the game is so awesome. And if your project is what is keeping you from the game, like, you really have to be focused. And so I'm really glad that I haven't stumbled into any major project. I mean, besides kids, I got kids running all over this place. That's my big project right now, is a bunch of kids. But so I totally hear you. And I applaud you for keeping your nose down and getting the work done. Bife was tweeting that out the other day, something about, I will not be seduced by all the new cool Destiny content. I will finish this project. And then he put out a 50-minute Vault of Glass walkthrough. Is fantastic too.
It was.
All right, so without any further ado, let's get to Gray's questions. Gray always has really great questions, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say now, being last. I don't usually put him last. I usually just let him out front to make us all look professional. I went with Jez this time. It was a bad bet.
I'm always a bad bet. So don't worry.
Just like I can barely make it here. I care so little about what you guys are doing and talking about.
Hey, and
it's really.
Jez is always first one on the call, with the exception of Sharks, who now is starting the call. But Jez is always the first one on the call.
Right, Jez is professional. Jez is a professional.
But I'm glad that you learned from your mistake, Remy. So, Alicia, my first question, actually, I want to go back to Agrios' question about your race and subclass. Tell me a little bit about why you connected so well with Voidwalker and the complete inability to jump out of the way of a Nova bomb, regardless of how far away it is from you.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that that's just what I started off on. And I've had so much practice, throwing my Nova bombs everywhere. I just love the animation of it. Warlock, I just love the idea of, they're scholars. And I did learn more into the Hunter and Titan lore as well, but I just loved the whole idea of what a Warlock is. So that's just where I stuck with.
Very cool, very cool. Is there anything in the game of Destiny that you have yet to accomplish that you really want to accomplish?
That I would want to accomplish. I guess right now, with time, I want to finish the book for Age of Triumph. I'm still a little bit behind trying to get that done. I've had a lot of friends help me go flawless. I've done Flawless Raider. Right now, I want to can finish the challenge mode for Vault of Glass on my other two characters. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. What percentage are you on your book?
I think around 70%. Yeah,
Nice.
70%. Mm-hmm.
Very good. At some point, I'm sure that we'll go around the panel and I'll talk about how poorly we are doing on our books. I know I'm doing poorly. I'm at like 52%, so I got some work ahead of me.
Yeah.
Sharks is thank you, Sharks. So I'm kind of curious, Alicia, you said that you work and you go to school. Tell us a little bit about your life outside of Destiny, outside of Destiny Tracker and the work that you do for them. So what do you do, and where do you go to, or not where do you go to school, but what do you go to school for? Kind of what's your plan?
Yeah, so outside of work, I work at a ticket office, performing arts theater on my campus. We have a lot of Broadway shows and plays as well. Concerts, we actually had a concert recently. But yeah, that's what I do for work. I like it just because it moves around my school schedule. I just graduated with my associate's degree with studio art, and now I'm going to another community college in the area for art new media, so where I'm going into Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. So yeah.
Very cool. And what would you like to do with that when you're all done?
I really want to combine both art and video games. I would love to do concept art for video games, or even a character designer. That would be awesome. That's something I'm shooting for. But outside of that, I'm also interested in doing illustration as well. That would be really cool.
Okay. Very neat.
Yeah.
If we do a little pre-show where we ask some silly questions, and I'm going to actually recap some of those silly questions for you because they're kind of fun. If you could pick any superpower, what would you pick and why?
I'm going to say earthbending. I thought earthbending was awesome from Avatar, so yeah, that would be my superpower if I had it.
Earthbending. I did watch Avatar, but it was ages ago. And my head actually went to Captain Planet, but I can't even remember if you could earthbend.
That's not far off, actually.
So Avatar is Captain Planet. They are one and the same.
Yeah, Aang has heart.
That's very good. Okay, here's a tough one. This is actually from our friend Jaded, Guardian 1 member. And it's a little bit bizarre, so just track with me.
Okay.
If you... Shark shakes his head. This is the situation. You have the most adorable 1-year-old. They are loving, they are caring, they are the best child that you could ever imagine having. And the hospital calls you and tells you there's been a mix-up, and that child actually isn't your child. What would you do?
Wow. How do you even answer that?
Man, we're going to have a talk with Jaded about what the show is about.
Yeah.
Is this a personal experience question?
Maybe he's unfamiliar with what we talk about here on the Guardian 1 podcast. But, if you want to answer it, because it's crazy to me.
Wait, now you guys all understand why I've been shaking my head when Gray says he's going to start asking these questions.
right? Right. This is, I was going to tell you before you asked. I was going to say, if this bombs, this is the end of the Jaded Asks a Question segment. And I think
Well,
that
you
we
didn't
can
even ask it for this show. I just liked the answers so well on the last show that I was curious what Alicia would say.
Here's what we do. Okay, so you're in the tower, okay, and the doctor calls you and says, "Oh, your warlock is really a titan. What do you do?" Okay, let's
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd still love my titan. Or warlock. Titan? That's now a titan. I'd still love him.
Keep him.
What was the rest of it? Like, okay, and they're gonna come get it. Like, do you run? Like what was? It's just too open. It's just too open ended.
It's
Thanks,
very open ended.
I think they're looking for one of two options: keep the baby you know is not yours, or get the baby that you know is yours that you don't know for the entire year.
But is there really an option? I'm pretty sure people are just going to show up and take the baby if it's not yours. I mean,
yeah.
Shark. I love looking at Sharks. Sharks is like gonna blow it right now. Okay, last question.
Welcome to Destiny.
Destiny 2 is on the horizon. If there was one thing that you could put a bug in Bungie's ear and say you need to add this to the game, what would you ask them to add to the game?
Oh, there's so much. One thing, I love character customization. I hope they put in beards for male characters. A lot more options for females as well, because we could use a lot better options, I think.
Beards? More options on the customer creation? So now that we know that we're going to be able to carry the physical appearance of our Guardians over to Destiny 2, are you going to take that option, or are you going to recreate your characters?
I'm going to do both, because I made another PSN just so I can play my old characters and new ones. Yep.
Wow, that's a good option.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to let you know that's not a good idea. Okay, so Remy plays 6 characters every single week, and he's stressed out by the end of the week. Okay, so if you don't want to be stressed, don't do what you're saying.
Well, hold on. Let's give her the whole story. Okay, in the very beginning of playing 6 characters, it was like badass time. Like, I didn't think anyone thought I was a badass, but I thought I was a badass. Like, I thought I was so cool. I got 6 characters. What do you got? 3? So it was really cool in the beginning, and actually it was rewarding. But as time wore on, I just felt more and more like, that each individual achievement didn't mean anything unless I could get the corresponding achievement on my other characters. And so, 2-3 years, whatever we are into Destiny, I'm just now really starting to feel the effects, where I'm starting to think, like, I'm really hoping that Destiny 2 has characters that transfer across. Like, I don't know why I think this. I just have heard people speculating about this. Like, it would be really cool if characters just went from PlayStation to Xbox. Some people brought up, oh, you can't because there's PlayStation exclusives. Other people brought up, well, maybe you just couldn't use those on the Xbox. But, and also with PC, Destiny 2 coming out on PC, the idea of running 9 characters is just... I mean, I would probably be able to do it in the very beginning because it would be so exciting. Oh, Destiny 2, and so I'd keep that up. But just keep an eye out on your enthusiasm level, because seriously, like, I got the Oversoul Edict on PlayStation, didn't get it on the Xbox. I'm not using it on either because I don't have it on both. Like, I really want to have a 1-to-1. And for the most part, I've been able to get everything on both systems so that when I switch, it doesn't feel like I'm switching. And just judging by the gear, I wouldn't be able to tell you what system I was playing on because I try and get the same for both. So just a little warning. It's a lot of fun in the beginning. You're going to feel like a badass in the beginning. But at some point, it just grinds on you. Like, right now, I've really been considering, like, well, maybe I don't have to raid on Xbox. Like, there's much more people on PlayStation. Maybe I don't have to put so much effort into Xbox. But then I think that's crazy. What am I talking about? I want to play some Destiny. So, Gray, was that it as far as your questions go?
I think I pretty much burned my my bridge for opportunities to ask questions with the year-old baby one. So
Well, you've never brought up a stinker. Like I believe all of your questions are fine, unless you're like, "Hey, Jaded, I'm going to ask a really stupid question on the podcast tonight. Mind if I throw you under the bus?" Which is what it could have been, And Jaded's a good guy. He probably would have said yes.
Yes, that is not true. That's not how it happened. But Jaded is a nice guy, and that's my last question. So unless Jez came up with something now that he wants to circle back as the last person to ask the question and have the final word, he certainly could be welcome to.
Fine, I'll ask a question that can tell more about you than you want to tell. What do you like better, cats or dogs?
I like dogs. Mm-hmm.
I'll go along with that.
And this is when Jez doesn't talk to you anymore.
Right.
He gave you a chance to realize he was a cat person.
Right.
I'm
I have
fine.
that cat in front of him.
I'm
Hey,
fine.
that's cool too. I just like dogs, and you like cats.
Just don't expect a fruit basket,
See,
Hey, that's fine. I
My
understand.
experience with dogs is marred by the neediest dog that can't even cross thresholds without you guiding it through.
Mm-hmm.
It's so annoying.
I actually have one more question. And this question goes to: do you do art for other people? Obviously, you are out there doing art for Destiny Tracker, and a lot of people hopefully will go and see how amazing your art is, and who knows, you might start getting all kinds of DMs, oh, can you do art for me? Do you actually do that for them? Or will you actually do that for them? And how can they get a hold of you if they do? And feel free to say, yes, you do, and make me something because I love your art. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, tell people if you actually do commission art for them, because I'm sure people wonder.
Yeah, definitely. I actually got a few requests today when I was modding our Destiny Tracker chat. So yeah, I do artwork for other people. I've done a few profile pictures, or I'm just learning to do Twitch stuff now, like different panels and everything. So yeah, I do that, and you can just message me on Twitter, again at Alicia Rose Art, and I'll respond back to you.
Excellent. Okay, and one last question before we get going. Will you be headed to any PAX or Guardian Con or any of these Destiny get-togethers that are happening throughout the country?
I wish I could. It's so far away though for me, so I won't be able to make it. I just can't, unfortunately. I want to go with the Destiny Tracker team to Guardian Con, but can't make it, unfortunately.
What area of the world do you live in?
I live in California, in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. Well, those things are really cool. I know that you knew this because you want to go. And if you ever have the opportunity, yeah, I know you're going to go there. So I guess I don't need to say anything more. All right, Gray, did you have anything else? Sometimes I can't tell whether Gray is thinking about something in the future, whether he's just trying to bite his tongue. Like sometimes I look at Gray's box and I think that Gray is just thinking, "Shut up, Remy, shut up. I have a question." But other times he just shakes his head at me like I'm stupid. So let's just move on.
No, I don't have any other questions.
Moving on. Okay, so let's talk about some Destiny. Agrios, what did we have happen in the world of Destiny since we last talked? Anything of note?
Well, where we've got to go into the Vault of Glass renewed here for the first time. Lots of experiences with that. They did proclaim ahead of time Atheon as being the toughest challenge they had ever created. So let's talk about there with that. Coming up next week, we have the Iron Banner. It begins Tuesday, April 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific and ends Tuesday, April 18th at 2 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be Control this time. Effort will be bringing auto rifles, shotguns, gauntlets, and class items for us. Being a PvP fan, are you excited about Iron Banner, Alicia? And do you like it better or worse than regular Crucible? And also, Well, yeah, we'll just go with that. Do you like it better or worse than regular Crucible?
I just have to say I like Iron Banner just because that's when all my friends come on and we get in a fire team and just play some Iron Banner, and it's a lot more fun than just playing by yourself in normal Crucible, in my opinion. So I'm very excited. It'll be fun.
So it's Control this time.
Mhm.
What is your favorite game type in the Crucible?
Yeah, well, I love Trials of Osiris, mostly because of the armor. That's the only reason I started playing Trials and worked my butt off to get flawless. So, yeah.
Excellent.
hmm
Rest of the panel, are you excited for this Iron Banner under the new meta with the new weapons and such being on the table?
I'll take it. I don't give a crap. No, you know what? I don't give two craps. And which is funny because, Alicia, you bring up a really great point. And that is, it's kind of like a rally. It's kind of like a rallying call. Iron Banner shows up, and a lot of people do show up to play some PvP, and so in that regard, it is totally a welcome, a welcomed return. But for the most part, like, I'm level 400. I'm not interested in any of the weapons that they'll be selling. The armor, I think, looks less than cool. Like, it's not horrible, but it's definitely not my favorite.
It's also pretty much the same armor you get from that box.
Yeah.
And you know what? I noticed that as well.
So I'm wondering something, and this will go into a question that Gray said he was going to throw around the table. You say you don't give a crap about Iron Banner, but in order for those of you that haven't finished your books to finish your book, it might be really easy to play Iron Banner because you get a node. So you still don't give a crap about Iron Banner?
Well, I give slightly more of a crap now that you bring that up. And actually, I thought about that too when I was looking through my book, and I'm like trying to prioritize. Like what can I do right now? What do I have to wait? And I thought about that Iron Banner one. And I thought, man, I'm really going to have to buckle down and get to 5 because it was a lot easier to get to 5 previously. And I know some people think that the way it is right now is easier. It is like super hard for me because I don't know what it is. My matchmaking statistics show that I'm a much better player than I actually am, just because I take my time in engagements and try and come out with a positive KD. So the game thinks I'm much better than I am. So the only two outcomes for me is I'm on the top of my team and we lose, or I'm on the bottom of the team and we win. So it has nothing to do with me. Like, I can play my best game ever and we're going to lose that match. So I don't know. It's troublesome. But yeah, Sharks, you're right. I definitely will be, oh God, playing Iron Banner.
That's all right. No. We're all going to be playing Iron Banner, so we're going to make you play anyway, Remy.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's going to be
for it.
It's going to be cool. I do enjoy Iron Banner, but at this point, nothing's carrying over. I'm not interested in any of that gear. The node is really the only thing that I'm going for. And like you said, it brings out the players. Jez, are you going to be playing Iron Banner?
Maybe. I don't know.
Do you really care about any of that stuff?
I don't really have a big draw to PvP in general. I can make up the nodes anywhere else, but I might hit it once, but there's like 5 before. Well, it's about 5 before September, so there's about 4 before we need it to dip. So I could wait. Or I could wait for better guns.
That's not a bad idea at all, actually. That's actually a really good idea, because yeah, if I'm going to get all the way up to 5, I might as well be interested in what she's got at rank 5. I like that, Jez. I might just skip this one. Thank you for that. Gray, will you be playing Iron Banner?
Yeah, I will be, but not for the reasons that you guys are mentioning, loot, book, that kind of stuff. So every Friday, the Friday night that the week that Iron Banner launches, we, on the PlayStation 4 side, put together the Guardian 1 Iron Banner and Brews. We get a group of at least 6 people in there, and we turn Iron Banner into a nice, playful drinking game with a number of different rules, and it's just a blast. It's one of my favorite things to do in Destiny. Doesn't matter if I stink or if I do well. Getting together as a group, as a community, and participating in this fun ritual is something that I really look forward to. So yeah, I'll be doing it. We'll be streaming Iron Banner and Brews, and you, Remy, you, Jez, Sharks, and Agrios should certainly think about joining us for this time around.
You know, I want to.
I feel like I
want to.
joined you once, but not when you were drinking.
And that's why I left.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to. I'd really like to. The problem is that my the higher functioning part of my brain says, hey, after you drink your max amount of beers, which is like 4 or 5, you're either going to keep drinking to have a good time and throw up once you hit like 6 beers, or you're going to come back down soon and everything's going to suck because you just put all of this gross into your body. And you know, I used to really enjoy drinking. I used to karaoke like crazy, and if I went karaokeing right now, I would be hitting up those MGDs because those are delicious. But for reals, you know, I actually purchased a 6-pack of Hornsby's with the intention of playing that Iron Banner and Brews, and it just, I don't think that I was available at the same time that you were playing it, so they've just been sitting in my fridge, like bleh, alcohol. Bleh. But I would do it.
Awesome.
What's that?
Hornsby's are awesome though. They taste good. It's not even alcohol.
Hornsby's are amazing. I love hard cider. Hornsby's specifically though. But yeah, so I don't know. I would definitely love to join you, Gray. That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you have a specific example of something that was really awesome to share with us, and maybe make people want to come out to watch you do it again?
Oh gosh. I mean, a lot of the one-liners that come out of those experiences are great, but probably we come up with really creative rules. Like, one of our rules is the biggest loser. So if you are the worst player on a losing match, then you have to take a drink when that match is over. Or go big or go home is if you're winning the match, and you're the top scorer of that team, then you gotta take a drink. So we're pretty clever in how we come up with the rule set, and try to be clever with the naming too, so people can kind of keep track of what they're supposed to do when. And yeah, it just, nobody gets like super toasted or anything like that. It never delves down to being salty. It's always just very lighthearted, fun, people getting together, enjoying time spent doing this activity. It's good times. You guys should definitely watch it if you're not going to participate, and if you're going to participate, you should definitely do it.
Well, just a warning, if I participate, I'm getting toasted. I just really don't have a choice. You know, I'm either drinking and I'm toasted, or I'm not drinking and I'm not toasted. Mystic Rose, thanks for coming out. We will see you later. Okay. Where were we? Moving on.
So the agent.
I like how he doesn't ask other people if he's playing, but that's okay. I just wanted to say.
Wait, no. I asked Jez. I asked Gray, and you commented. Agrios, are you playing Iron Banner this week?
Hells yeah.
What is in it for you? Especially with your vault space. Did you address your vault space, and what is in it for you to play Iron Banner at this point?
I have one open gun slot in all of my characters in vault. I keep that spot open in the vault so it kicks everything I get to the postmaster, and they're all full too. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff I got to go through. But I want to get the node out of the way, for the rank 5 node out of the way. I like getting the nodes out as early as possible. I'm going to start plowing through that book here shortly. And I don't know. I like the Iron Banners right after new content drops. There's a lot of people playing them. I feel like you get a good variety, you get quick matches. It's easier for the matchmaking to matchmake when it's got a larger pool of people. So I feel like, you know, the best matches come, you know, right after a content drop and whatnot. So we only had I only played in one Iron Banner under the new meta, right? We only had one Iron Banner under the new meta, right? The second week the new meta was out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So at that point in time, I really had no idea what I was doing in the new meta still. At this point, I've got my head wrapped around it a lot better. So this is really going to be the first Iron Banner under the new meta that I feel like, I got a grasp on the new meta. So, yeah, that stuff.
Excellent. Sharks, will you be playing Iron Banner?
See, the real reason you didn't ask me is because you knew what my answer was going to be. And my answer is always that I'm going to play Iron Banner because I love Iron Banner. I actually, that is the gear set that I like. And mind you, I do like the Trials gear sets, but it's a lot easier to get the Iron Banner gear sets that you want. But yes, I'm going to be playing, and unfortunately, I'm probably going to be playing a lot because like my raid groups, which we will get into in a little bit, haven't been working out too well this week. So I'm hoping that I really wish Iron Banner was running this week because then I could have been using my time playing Iron Banner instead. I am looking forward to Bruise Night, even though I've never done it. I've always said I would be the designated shooter, and I still get that offer. But they swear that you're not allowed to be on that team unless you're drinking. So maybe I will actually join and drink a little bit. But yes, I am totally down for Iron Banner. And if any of my Guardian 1 crew isn't online, I would gladly play with you if you have a spot open on your team because you like PvP. So
Yeah, definitely.
sweet. Okay. Thanks, Remy.
Excellent. Agrios is chair. What do we have next?
We have the Age of Triumph known issues. There's quite a few issues that are going on with the new release here. They've noted a few of them in the update this week. The Destiny game client may unexpectedly close if a player is respawning when a Knuckles of AO consumable is redeemed. Players are receiving false Age of Triumph record book notifications during gameplay. Some players who own a Trials of Osiris Flawless emblem have not been rewarded the proper record book progress. Players are unable to purchase reciprocal runes, stolen runes, or moldering shards from Eris. Players are unable to proceed through the Pushing Back the Darkness Refer a Friend quest step. Players may encounter an issue where elimination games do not correctly end. Until resolved, players may be required to exit the match to continue playing Destiny. And perhaps most importantly, we are investigating reports that some players are unable to earn Treasures of Ages after the most recent weekly reset. If a player has not opened a previously earned Treasure of Ages from a weekly ritual activity, they will be unable to earn future treasure rewards. While we are investigating solutions to this issue, we highly recommend that players open Treasures of Ages rewards earned from weekly ritual activities immediately to avoid loss of future rewards. Now, I noticed these weren't stacking appropriately in my vault the way the previous treasure boxes have been stacking, but I did not realize this. I did, of course, you know me, I didn't open my Treasures of Ages last week, so I, of course, will have missed out on them from this week. So unless I open them before I go and run the vent, I'm unclear on what the guidelines are, but I think I may have just already lost them.
I think it's if you just have them when you complete it.
It's not just ticked off because they're just already in my inventory right now?
I don't know.
That's the way it kind of reads, but I was
making up shit now.
I just need to have opened it before I go and earn the new one. But
I was going to ask you if you've already seen this for yourself, because this is a bummer. And luckily for me, when new boxes come out, I just open up the first couple of ones that week, and then once I realize I don't have any space in my vault for any of the crap, anyways, I just usually start sitting on the boxes. So I'm really glad that I you know what it was. Bungie said nothing's carrying over, and so I threw away a bunch of crap. So I wanted to fill it up with the stuff from the boxes. This is a bother. This is crap. Gray, did you already open up all of your boxes?
I did open up all my boxes.
Did you get anything good?
I got a Burning Skull mask.
Oh,
for free. Free. I didn't pay a dime. Not a dime. It felt so good on my face.
You paid in time, Gray. You paid in time.
It was
Right,
it was like my first free box. It was fantastic. I've been wearing it all week. Looks good on me.
You know, I have a feeling that I'm not going to get that flaming skull just based on the fact that it's free and anyone could get it at any time. Jez, did you open any of your boxes?
I did, and all I got was an emote, I think.
That's a bummer. I noticed that it's either like a big celebration, like I got a sparrow or something, or here is some shards.
It was
this?
it was a blue emote too. So I'm like, I don't think, probably not gonna use that.
Alicia, have you opened up your boxes already?
Yeah, I only got a few emotes as well. I think one of them was the mix it up emote. Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Sharks, did you open up your boxes?
Yep, I opened my boxes. So I don't know. The first week that I opened my box, I didn't get diddly squat. Literally, I didn't get anything new. This week, I opened up my box, and I got an emote, and I got the flaming wolf head. Now, wait a minute. Okay, so we talked about this. Gray and I talked about this on the pre-show, and Gray was like, he was itching. He was itching to tell me this because it does piss me off that people spent money. I spent money on that stupid gray skull. I mean that burning skull.
You can call it Grayskull. That's fine.
I know that's
It works. It fits.
But I spent money on that, and I said on this podcast, I said it would be very wrong if they ever give people the opportunity to have that, because they kind of, they had people, pay money for that stuff, and then when the flaming wolf helmet came or mask came, it was kind of the same thing, and I refused to pay money on that. But I mean, there were people in the community, Triple Wreck, Briar Rabbit. I mean, I could name dozens of people that spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get that stuff, and then for me to open up a box that I got for free and it's like there. I just think that that's really wrong, and it's neat to get it, but at the same time, I'm not happy about that. And as always with RNG, with anything in Destiny, some people get lucky, some people don't. My wife, she opened up 2 of her boxes this week, and she got the brand new ship and a piece of armor. And that's pretty cool. Mark Square, who also does the pre-show with us, he spent $150 on these boxes that you're not going to be able to transfer over anything to the next iteration of Destiny, so that he could get all that armor set. And I don't know. I'm my feelings on spending the money the way they have it. It would be different if it was there to buy, but no, I'd still be pissed off that they're giving it away for free now. So.
Okay.
I looked up to see what emote I got, and it was a sad emote, so I think that's fitting.
Okay, so this brings up quite a few interesting points of conversation. The first one being, I don't think that Bungie should have done this the way they did this, at least not with specifically like that mask. Like, I didn't get it, and I was mad that I didn't get it. I was mad that some people got it on their first free box, on the first Festival of the Lost. Like, I was upset, but I feel like if you spent $80 trying to get that, then that should be your special thing for the entirety of the game. At this point, it makes me not want to go out and buy anything at all. If they're just going to give away everything at the end of the game, what is the point of, and those things aren't going to have a direct impact on my game playing. What is the point of me buying any of these? I was already very, very skittish about buying these things because of the amount of RNG in these purchases. At this point, I'm thinking, well, what's the point? I don't want to spend any money on any of these things because they're just going to give it away at some point. And this goes back to everything. Like, I like sort of that they brought back some of the things like year one blue marks and green marks and white marks, actually, class items all the way across the board. Those being in year 1 and 2 as, basically worthless. I kept a lot of them around because they looked cool, or they had really great flavor text, or they meant something to me. But having those things return as a legendary in year 3 was really cool. Like I really liked it. I'm seeking out gear that I had that I've just been sitting on, green and white and blue class items. It's really cool to see a version that I can bring all the way up to light level 400. But things like this, like I feel for Sharks and the money that he paid for these things, and it's just de-incentivizing the whole thing. Like I already didn't want to spend money on RNG, and now at this point, there is no point. I could just wait.
I gotta interrupt you. Okay, so here we're gonna throw this one to the whole panel, everybody that's here, because I just got this from Guru Fu. She asked, "Do you think Eververse got destroyed in the tower for Destiny 2?"
Oh man, one can only hope.
Mm-hmm.
We should put this out to the Destiny community. Somebody's going to be drawing, Tess Everest, grabbing all the stuff and like hopping over the edge, maybe landing on that jet thing that hangs out front. I would like to see that.
She saved herself first. That's why none of the stuff is carrying over. She's got to rebuild.
Right. Just that whole section just takes off like a spaceship. The postmaster. Anything in your postmaster's carrying over. Just the stuff on you or your vault's not going to carry over. What do you think about all this, Alicia? Do you, like looking at this, the way they've handled these, microtransactions? Did you think it's, from my point of view, it's awesome because I didn't spend any money and now I can get all this stuff for just playing the game. What is your take on it?
It's really hard to say. I did spend some money too for some of the emotes and stuff like that, and now you can get them for free. But I enjoyed them. It made the game fun for me, and now other people can get it because they waited, they were patient till it was free. So it's really hard to say. It's good and bad both ways, I guess. There's pros and cons.
That's a very nice diplomatic answer. I like that a lot. Gray, what do you make of this? Everyone gets everything now, or everyone conceivably has an opportunity to get it at some point.
Yeah, I want to think big picture on it. So if this means that more players are going to gravitate towards the game and have positive experiences, then I'm very much for what they've done here. But if there's a subset of players which are going to feel some ways betrayed, or at least that their investment in that piece of the content wasn't really worthwhile, and they're less likely to repeat that in the future, knowing that, well, if I just hold off for a few months or a year and a half, maybe this will become free content and it isn't that important to me. Bungie could end up putting themselves in a position where they're going to make less revenue on microtransactions because people know now that potentially I could wait and enjoy this content later and it won't cost me anything. I'm leaning towards the side of it's probably better for encouraging and engaging the player base than it is hurting those who spent a lot of money to get these things. And I have a feeling that the size probably matters. There's probably fewer people out there that are bothered that actually paid for this content than there are compared to the people who are really excited by getting to experience it now. So from more of like a holistic standpoint of how this is affecting the player base, I think it's probably doing more good than it is harm.
I have to agree with Gray. I think that I think that you have to look at things a little differently now than we used to in the past. I think the real question here is, was anybody surprised when this landed, that this worked out this way, that they did this? With before we had an emblem. Oh, you have to get to rank 5 to earn this emblem, and you can wear it proudly as I can rank 5 Iron Banner. I got this emblem. Like at one point, ranking 5 Iron Banner was really, really tough to do. Then they made it much more accessible. But then they, Rise of Iron hit, and you could just buy it. Anybody could just buy it for 1,000 Glimmer in the tower, the old rank 5 emblem. So just by like model of things like that, this didn't surprise me with Bungie.
Okay,
So
so
I think more and more, overall, a lot of DLC type items are being handled like this across the market. And what you really need to look at it as is if you buy these things for their full price, whether that's gambling a bunch to get it out of a package or just literally a higher full price, you're really paying for the right to use it right now when there's very few people using it. Or the right to have access to it right now with the grand majority of the population who's going to be playing it. You can go, pay $20 for a DLC in another game, and that DLC may eventually just be given away for free on the PlayStation Network. They did that with the old Battlefield 4 DLCs. They eventually just gave them all away for free. At some point, people paid for season passes in each of those DLCs. Well, were those people ripped off? They could have just waited and got all the DLC for free.
Okay,
but
so
they paid to use it for that time.
Wait, I have a comment, and then Sharks, you can comment. So, so Life Panther says, "What's the point of waiting a year and a half for something to be free? If you wanted to spend the money because you liked it, then it's certainly not worth waiting months or years for it to become free instead of just getting it." And I think that the problem with that line of thought is that I wasn't just buying this piece of gear. Like if they put a $20 price tag on that Flaming Ghost, I would have bought it. Like if I knew that my $20
like you were winning it, you were gambling money to win it, but you were winning it when you got it. Is the way you feel about it?
Yeah. So
about,
and
what
then,
about the giant pool of items that rolls from? Then people get it. Are you like, oh, they just had better luck than me?
Well, yeah, they just had better luck than me, right? I mean, that's what it is, right? So it's like. Unilala says, "I honestly think they'd make more money just putting solid prices on everything," and I don't know if they'd make more money. And a lot of people have said on this panel that they probably would not have made more money because gambling brings in more, but they would have gotten my money. Now, whether that is to say that that there's more people out there like me than there are people out there like Mark Square, that is up for debate. But I don't know. I feel like if I was just purchasing it, I wouldn't wait months to years. But because my dollars aren't going towards exactly what I want, that I'm just throwing it away. Might as well wait months or years because I don't want it enough to not get it. If I'm spending $50 and I'm not getting what I want out of this, I will feel robbed. I will feel totally robbed. I'll feel totally crappy about it. And at least this way, I don't know. Why is Jez just sitting there closing his eyes?
Because he's frozen in time.
Oh man, I thought Agros was frozen too.
I got disconnected from the call, and apparently I'm frozen, and I don't want to hit end call because I'm like, I don't want to kick anyone off, but I'll see.
Right. Well,
Uh-oh. So you fried everything now.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Okay, so here's my comment. Okay, so my comment. Well, first I'm going to make the comment. Okay, so right now you can buy shaders at Eververse that you cannot get anywhere else unless you buy them from Eververse.
Like the SRL shaders?
No, there are special shaders. There are three shaders that are available only to purchase.
Interesting.
Through now they may be in those boxes potentially, but that's not what it says. It says that because if you go to your kiosk, it says available for purchase at Eververse. Now,
like Silver Dust?
Yeah, with real money, right?
Oh,
okay, so
silver.
now so it's still real money. You can call it silver if you want, okay?
But it's also
most
free.
people
I've got a bunch
paid.
of silver. Oh no, silver dust though, right? Like that you get from those boxes when you break down the ornament you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, but that's money. That's what I'm talking about. It's still money because you buy silver dust
You have the option to, but you could have the option
Right.
also earn silver dust
Right.
in game. Right.
Yeah,
Sharks,
you can't. Okay.
if you're gonna call that money, then getting the skull from the free package is also money.
Oh, money! Sharks looks perplexed.
No. Okay. Anyways, okay. So where I'm going with this is, first off, do you think that it's greed from Bungie that not only are they putting in packages, but they're putting in shaders that you can only get if you pay for them?
Well, no. So
And
the shaders are.
wait, I'm not done. And or has Bungie learned from their mistakes, i.e., skulls that you couldn't purchase, and now they are giving people the opportunity to purchase these shaders as a test run for Eververse version 2, Destiny 2.
Well, sure. I think they're testing out stuff for Destiny too. I'll agree with that, no matter what they're doing. But the shaders are there as a silver dust sink. They're there to give you something to spend the silver dust that you're getting through the game automatically on, so that you also spend money on more packages.
Okay, so you do realize that most people have all kinds of stuff that they can buy. They are not like the 1%ers in this group that own everything already, so there is nothing to sink on. Most people don't have every single ornament and all that stuff. So
Well,
in order to get that, you're not sinking, because now you're just making it more choices. Like, oh, well, I was going to spend my silver dust that I'm accumulating over this next month or two on these ornaments, but now they've got this shader as well. Well, the best way to get that is to go and sink some money into it so I can buy that shader, because that's the only way to get it.
Well, that's the idea. They're giving you more silver dust sinks, so there's more chances of you spending more money. Yeah.
They're also giving you more silver dust.
Right, Unilala says she opened a package and just straight got silver dust. Lol. Okay, I want to touch on real quick. Mark Square. Number one, Mark Square is a very interesting person, all by his lonesome, just what he's doing right now. But when I saw that he was saying that he spent so much money on those boxes, I feel like for people in his situation, it's good, like he wants Christmas. He wants Christmas right now. And if $150 is going to buy him Christmas right now, then good for him. I feel like he has no illusions of he's going to get what he wants. I feel like he understands that it's all random.
Okay, I agree with that statement, except for that one. There's one problem with saying, "Oh, that's fine with people to go and do that." Okay.
Continue.
And the problem is that, and it's something else that we have talked about. We've even talked about it today. Buying stuff from Eververse, in most cases, except for these shaders that I'm talking about, are an RNG thing. So you're spending who knows how much in order to get that stuff. For instance, Pope Bear. Pope Bear spent almost $500 to get that stuff, so that he had Christmas there right in front of him, right then and there, and he didn't have to wait a year and maybe not get it all. Okay, it's cool that if people have money to go out and do it, but to put it behind an RNG wall, that's where the problem lies. Like, I would have totally been down to put money into it to get the ornaments so that I could walk around with the Days of Iron stuff all glowy right away. Like what you're saying, it's really neat to have that stuff instead of potentially waiting and not getting it. But because it's RNG, that's where I disagree with your statement and saying, "Oh, okay, it's okay."
So I want to point out real quick before Gray talks. I want to point out real quick that I could right now, Sharks. I could right now, with the silver dust that I have built up over the last several weeks of ornaments I've broken down, buy those shaders you're talking about and not have spent $1, not have spent 1 cent. Like I feel like you keep bringing back these 3 shaders as like proof that that they're trying to rip us off or something. Like something shady is going on when I could right now go buy all 3 of those and not have spent 1 cent. Like all it has taken me is breaking down enough of the same ornament. For some reason, I keep getting the same ornaments over and over, like the same 3 ornaments, and it's bothersome. Gray.
Yeah, so, one thing to keep in mind, Mark has voiced something that I've heard you say in the exact same words. He wants to give his money to Bungie, right? He's in a position, and he knows that he wants to support this game. And we might have some ideas about people who, just the avenue at which do we want to encourage the behavior of microtransactions? Is it a good thing for the game? But it is a way to support Bungie in what they're doing. The other thing is, if it's kind of like when I hate gambling. I hate going to the casino. Hefty Flounder, she likes gambling. She likes going to the casino. And we maintain the mindset that when I put my $20 into that machine, I am spending $20 to enjoy the action of that machine. Not to win, not to lose. It's going to cost me $20 to play this machine, or it's going to cost me $20 to play roulette. And that money is going towards the experience and not the end result of that experience. And that's kind of my same mindset when it comes to these packages. People are probably spending money because they enjoy the experience of opening up these loot packages. And that's got a value to it, not necessarily the end result. That's people who have a gambling problem when they keep doing that to their own detriment because they need some end result. But if they're doing it because they like the experience, by all means, continue to pay for that experience.
That's it right there. And I believe that's exactly what Mark, I feel like, there are some people who've been duped. Agrios likes to bring up that this is a T for teen game and that having a gambling aspect is irresponsible. And I agree with these things, but I really feel like Mark was just like, I'm going to buy 150 of these boxes and it's going to be amazing. And I bet it was. I bet opening up all those boxes was so fantastic. Can you imagine all the silver dust he has right now and all of the stuff that he wanted to keep?
Except for all the, gotta go back to my postmaster. It's full again.
Oh, yeah. That would be a bummer.
But I spent the 175 silver dust for that ball and yaller wing and have not regretted
it. Is it cool? It looks pretty sweet.
I mean, it's a yaller wing and not a stupid iron yaller wing.
Go on.
To put some perspective on why, how I think it's irresponsible to have a T for teen game, from what I understand is if they didn't actually have you convert your money into silver to spend on these boxes, it would actually be illegal in some places.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
I have another success story just to kind of ruin everything about our discussion. On the PlayStation side, I popped one the other day, and something I had spent real money to try to get that I never got, I was able to get from a treasure box. I got the Ghost, and I was so excited because I love that little Ghost.
Now you can spend legendary marks to keep re-rolling it until you get a perfect roll.
Yeah.
Is that true? That's really cool.
Yeah, from the holiday vendor.
And that was kind of interesting, to actually go through a phase where I did spend real money to try to buy those packages, and I never got it. And I kind of reached a point where I was like, this is getting a little ridiculous for me to keep spending money on these packages. I'm not comfortable with this anymore. And then now to get it as a free thing, I guess in one way I could get frustrated, but really I just got really excited because it's something I really wanted.
So, when you made that purchase before and you didn't get the thing the one thing you cared about hoping to get, overall, didn't you feel bad after that purchase?
Yeah, I did. I felt bad. Because again, I was more focused on spending money on the end result than I was the experience of opening up these boxes. And that's where it was kind of like, I was playing to win, I wasn't winning, and I shouldn't have been playing to win to begin with.
Mark says that
if they gave you an infinite way to work toward these things, then you could make up for that feeling, I think.
Like the candy in year one.
Yeah, like the candy in year one. And also with being able to break down one mask in order to save another. Year one had a lot going on for it. Mark Square says that silver dust stacks to 250, and at some point it says silver dust gets in the way eventually. That's funny. That's really funny. Did you get what you were looking for, Mark? Mark Square. You know what it is? He's like a really famous artist, and he probably like burns. Like I imagine him being way eccentric. Like he dresses up at like Mr. Peanut at his house, right? And like to light his cigars, he like has like $100 bills from the fireplace straight to his cigar. Is that about? Is that about what it is?
He got the whole set. He was showing it off to us the other day. So
I'm jealous. I haven't even seen one piece of gear from there yet. Just get some silver dust.
I think we should maybe move on to challenge modes because I've got some stuff to talk about that.
How about we move on to whatever it is that Agrio says? You know what, Alicia, did you already talk about this? Did you spend dollars on those boxes?
Yes, I did talk about it, but I'd have spent some to get some of the items in there.
Did you get what you're looking for?
It took a few tries. And yeah, I did get it.
Excellent. All right, with that, let us move on. Agrios, what's next in the world of Destiny?
Okay, let's head toward what Sharks wants here. I'm gonna give you some quick tips, some interesting little quick tips for Age of Triumph here. The transversive steps will work in the abyss for faster movement speed while crouching. It'll negate the weight of darkness multiplier for the warlocks. Something worth looking into. The hunter running the relic on the Templar, if you use the Frosties, it recharges your cleanse shield just as fast as it recharges your melee and grenade while sprinting, if not faster, because the cleanse bubble recharges it fast to begin with. The Dead Orbit vendor is selling 100% discipline strength ghost this week. And the vendor Wormwood is arguably one of the best that can be obtained this week, with True Sight, High Caliber Rounds or Snapshot, Hand Loaded or Zen Moment, and Rangefinder. There is a great video out this week on clarifying what does the best damage to Atheon by Datto. With Weapons of Light and no ammo bonuses, Sleeper Stimulant and Black Spindle are on par damage-wise, but Sleeper is less punishing in terms of missed criticals. Galahorn's acceptable, but you'd be better off running one of those other two. All the hunters out there should be running Tether because Celestial Nighthawk isn't such a good idea. It barely beats out Spindle with all body shots. And an ideal loadout would be a Vault of Glass non-exotic primary for the Oracles, Ex Machina, whatever, or a similar sniper, and a Sleeper Simulant. There's a great video by Datto to help demonstrate all those things there.
What's a Datto?
Vault of Glass, new challenge modes on Templar and Atheon this week. Sharks, what'd you think of them?
Don't go to me first because I'm not happy with it at all.
All right, Remy, have you had a chance to Vault of
I am
Glass this
shocked. I'm shocked. Sharks, I am shocked.
No, okay, so fine. Go to me first. Okay, so everybody's all pumped. Everybody's all pumped about Vault of Glass. Everybody, this is the best raid. It's come back to play, blah, 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 blah. And my week this week for running raids has been a total debacle. My main raid group completely broke up and aren't playing together anymore. So that kind of screwed up my first day of raiding. Part of the people that were in this group, we decided to go in and we were just going to screw around and go and see if we could 3-man. And then we got another person in 4-man to the beginning of the raid and just see if we could go and get the chests, which, of course, is no problem because the beginning of the raid has not changed at all. And we are all 400 light. So, that was easy peasy. Then we went in, messed around, and we had more people join us from our friends list. Just random people jumped in. And so we just had this ragtag group of people going in, and it just didn't work out, and it just reminded me, a lot of people say, reminds me of the good old days of Vault of Glass. For me, it reminded me of all the horrible days of Vault of Glass back in the day. And Remy will attest to this. I mean, our group on many of occasion went in for hours and hours and hours. At the first part, didn't get diddly squat, and everybody went home and went to bed, and then another raid group was gone, and it's like, oh, now I got to try to find another raid group. Of course, everybody's going to want to start from the beginning, yada, yada, yada. And that's basically what's happened to me twice this week. Is I've gone in and it just like complete debacle. So I haven't been very impressed with Vault of Glass because of that. What's really, really even more frustrating about it is the first part is really not that hard. There are some really easy things to do to make it super easy. In fact, I saw a video that Briar Rabbit put out, and he put cheese. It wasn't a cheese at all, but it was just like the perfect placement and just having a relic hunter run back and forth, and they got him down in 2 minutes. I know that it's possible to get done really fast because on my last raid, after I got off, I was just so frustrated because, again, it was the second day of not getting past the first challenge. So I turned on Twitch, and lo and behold, who was streaming on Twitch? We've got her here right now. And where were they? They were right at the challenge. They were just about to start. And I was like, oh, cool. Let's watch her play. And boom, they had it all done in 5 minutes. No wipes, no nothing. And I saw this big, huge, oh, look what I got on her face. And it was awesome to watch and then frustrating at the same time because my week's been crap at the raid. So there you go. That's my feelings of the raid this week. Alicia, if you have an open spot for your raid, I would love to come and join your group with the raid because you guys made it look so good.
Yeah, definitely. My name on PlayStation right now is just Alicia GM07, so just send me a request.
Okay, Sharks. So here is what I'm thinking along these lines. Is all of those times when we just wiped over and over and hours just gone, I think people weren't pulling their weight. Like I know this because when I'm in a team where everybody is pulling their weight, the challenges and the ahead of us, they just melt away. When everybody is doing what they're doing, it just melts away. I really feel like on many occasions people just weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, which basically comes down to killing aliens. Like this is what it's supposed to be doing. And I've seen it crop up in other games that I've played. And then I will be on a team where I don't feel like I'm pulling my weight and we will get it done. No problem, because everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I feel bad for you. I'd love to hear more about your main raiding group imploding and then nobody playing with each other anymore. I had no idea. I thought I was part of your main raiding group. And I mean, unless that's what you're talking about.
I have multiple raiding groups. Don't give me that. But no, it's just, and that's the frustrating part is like some, people that you're running with all the time, like when you Agros and I all get together and we're running, we know each other's thoughts before the other person does most of the time. And that's how it is in a raid. And, you're going in doing this. And if you aren't with people that you do the raid with all the time, it gets very, very hard. And again, then it goes to people aren't pulling their weight. It's not necessarily that they're not pulling their weight, but, I mean, that's people just aren't realizing what's going on. And it just,
I think it is people are not pulling their weight at times. Like, I think it is people being like potentially just like kind of lazy at the gun there.
I mean,
like you and Remy will destroy stuff. And
I know. I mean, you can call it what you want. That's not what I'm here to say. I'm pointing fingers at such and such a person because they're doing that. No, it's not. It's not that at all. It's just super, super frustrating for somebody like me that loves going in and doing the raids. I usually do them multiple times, help people go through the raids and do stuff, and just run it over and over and over again, and then to suddenly feel like I am when I was at year one, where we didn't know what we were doing is why we were wiping really back then. Well, to feel like that at year 3 just completely sucks, and it sucks it all out of you. So, and it's just like, it's just dumb. But yeah, and I don't want to take from it because I love that they've gone in and done all these challenges. I ran Crota like 5 or 6 times last week, and yeah, it's great.
I don't know. Your memories of year 1 are vastly different than mine because I feel like more often than not we kicked ass and took names. But I think it really does come down to what you're saying as far as like people just generally pulling their weight, just doing like, the best they can and not just doing, okay, or not putting the full effort out there, because I think that's all it really takes with a couple good guides. I mean, I know I've sat like in Crota last week for a number of hours trying to get Crota done, and I think it comes down to that very same thing. Sharks got on later that night just before reset to help me complete my Crota challenge mode, and we actually managed to pull a good team off LFG, and with a little guidance from Sharks and whatnot, we crushed Crota in like 3-4 tries at it. Yeah, and that was just with 4 randoms off LFG and me and Sharks.
Right, it's a take on a popular problem. I just assume that everyone's going to be trying their hardest, like I am. I just assume that these people know what they're doing or have any idea or even interest in doing what they're doing. But yeah, I mean that's what it's got to come down to. Because when I'm in a group of people who are trying and have any idea of what's going on, it's really only a small matter of time before we complete what it is, and it feels great. It's really the same thing with like nightfalls. Like some nightfalls are harder than others. But in a good group, there is no stress. There is no we're not going to make it through this. It's just a matter of time. Alicia, what did you think about the reinvigorated Vault of Glass?
Well, it was really fun for me because of the people I played with. I've played with these people since year 1, and we've raided so many times. So it's always a good experience when I play with them. But I do understand what you're saying, though, about how frustrating it is, because we did lose some people because of time, and we had to find another group to get together to do the rest of the raid. And also, I love the challenges that they did, but me and my group, we had discussed this, that they did the challenges, which were fun to do, but they didn't take the time to fix all the lag, all the problems in the raid. And so that was frustrating, revisiting that part again. So overall, it was fun, but revisiting the lag and all the glitches was not great.
What was your favorite part?
The LAN cable a couple times.
Was there a specific part during Vault of Glass where you're like, yes? Because I know that when I hit that jumping puzzle, and also the Gorgon's maze, I am like super stoked. I don't know what it is about those, like not having to rely on gun skill. Like I love shooting in Destiny, but I love existing in Destiny more than I love shooting in Destiny. And both of those afford me the opportunity to step out of the role of I'm shooting something. Jumping puzzles specifically. I know that there's a lot of hate in the community, or at least the people who hate it are very vocal about it. But I love it. I love the jumping puzzles. Easily my favorite part.
Yeah. Do you mean with the new raid, the new updated one? Okay.
Yeah, when you ran through it, were you like, oh my god, I totally forgot that this was so awesome?
I don't know. I guess hunting down the Gorgons was fun. We were all quietly sneaking around the corner and getting them one by one for that challenge, and that was fun. That was really fun to do. It took us a few tries, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I wish I had a record button on my Twitch when they beat the first challenge, because this was her reaction. I got Fatebringer. It wasn't super loud. It wasn't super quiet. It was just like, I got Fatebringer. I got the Adept Fatebringer. And that's all it was. And it was just like the glee on your face just made my day after having a bad day anyways. So
Aww.
Well, we know who the falsetto is in this boy band.
I do sound like that.
So question, not for me, but for the audience. Gray, of course, knows this answer, but the audience may not. What do you get for killing all the Gorgons?
It's a node.
Node.
Oh.
A node in the book.
It's a node.
Yes.
What's the best strat to do that? All raise lighters?
Shoot them with guns.
Yeah, raise lighter, golden gun.
Tether.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people using. Goth was using. His whole group was using Dark Drinker.
They don't have.
Since we're talking about raids and different things to use, Dark Drinker is the best weapon to use on. Why'd my brain suddenly stop? Pop up light.
Oracles.
Yes, thank you.
Why?
Oracles. Why? Because it's one swish around and it's gone. In fact,
On oracles?
On oracles.
Well, how does it do more damage than Razelator's uppercut to a single target?
I don't know, but it does it in one thing. It does it in one shot.
And Razelator doesn't?
Supposedly it doesn't.
Solar damage, and I thought oracles took more damage from solar.
I don't know. People that were using it were saying that it wasn't working, so I was using Dark Drinker, and other people were using anything else, and nothing else took it out in one. The only thing that did was Dark Drinker.
Well, that's really curious. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah. Because originally we had gone in there because a lot of people had talked about using Sleeper. And Sleeper actually isn't a one shot, which a lot of people said it was. And then I ended up getting killed by Sleeper too many times by it hitting back and killing me because I was doing hit. That's another thing that really bugs me is dying anytime in a raid. I feel like I let anybody down. But when that thing came back and killed me, I decided, I want to look up some other stuff, and people were saying swords, and so I happened to have my Dark Drinker on, and other people were using their the solar one.
I know back in the day I used to use my solar fusion rifle. I used to two-shot it with that. Sometimes I'd hit it with that and then flip to my primary and just finish it off. But I used to that was my go-to, was a solar fusion rifle back in the day.
Yeah, it's really good.
For the Gorgons?
No, for the oracles.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, you didn't hit that thing with 2 shots from your fusion rifle and kill a Gorgon. Agrios, what are you talking about?
Yeah. But if it's taking out oracles really fast, it's probably going to take out Gorgons pretty fast too. So, just a word of advice for those of you that haven't done it yet. And of course, maybe that's the wrong advice. We should ask the people that have actually finished it. So.
Well, we don't know anybody like that. Jez, did you have a chance to play the updated Vault of Glass?
I played it once.
Was it everything you hoped it would be?
I was kind of disappointed with Templar, but that was to be expected because it was already in the game. However, Atheon was more interesting because it required a little bit more coordination than the normal fight.
I agree. You know what? I've been thinking this whole time, ever since it dropped. How did people figure out that was what you were supposed to do? Do we know?
Well,
because it seems like a weird thing to try.
Now there's that little notification saying challenge failed. So as soon as someone killed 2 oracles, challenge failed.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Man, I want to be part of one of those groups where people deductive reasoning.
One thing I want to one thing I want to point out is I'm glad that they went Crota then Atheon, or Crota then Vault of Glass, because if I didn't do Crota, I wouldn't have my Void, I forgot the name of it, the Void Shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that is so good against all the damn Praetorians.
Yeah.
I mean,
this goes back to my Dark Drinker thing.
Yeah, but Jez wouldn't have one.
If you have Dark Drinker, that takes out the Minotaurs really quick too. Of course, you're not going to want that during the last phase, during Atheon, but...
Yeah, I just use a Void... I have a Void Matador I'll probably be rocking.
Gray, what did you think about the updated Vault of Glass?
I haven't got to try it yet, so I have no feedback.
Yes!
My first run is going to be tomorrow night. We got a full group that's running tomorrow night. And then I'll be doing it again on Saturday. I'll probably stream both of those on the channel, so you can check it out.
Okay, Agrios, your thoughts on the revitalized Vault of Glass, and then moving on.
I have not had a chance to run it yet. I hope to. I'm excited for it. Always like Vault of Glass.
Maybe we should do it tonight. Sharks, let's do it tonight. No, we'll talk about this later. Moving on.
All right. So while we're talking about these raids, seems like an appropriate type to throw this in. Movie of the week this week was a solo 390 Crota full raid. Nutso. And honorable mention went to a solo 390 Templar with challenge mode. No teleports. And Nutso. Yeah. And honorable mention also to a Destiny 2 trailer wrap to The Way I Am. It's an Eminem remake. So yeah, check out those creator videos for the movie of the week and whatnot. Solo 390 Crota full raid. Not so. So moving on. How much time we have left here?
Roughly 20 minutes.
Let's just do this. The Destiny 2 is coming up. We'll know more on May 18th. And there is some leaks previously done by some people over on NeoGAF, and this guy has a very good record. I follow him pretty religiously for getting good early info. But this was back in September of 2016. He said about Destiny 2, major focus is going to be on the Cabal and Saturn. Saturn's play space is set to be bigger than all of the play spaces currently implemented in the game combined. This is in large part of the scale of the play spaces being redesigned, so it'll be bigger and denser with activities. They're going to do more open play spaces that incorporate towns, outposts, etc. into more common areas. The goal is to have players conducting things and making activity decisions while still in control of their character instead of exiting out to an activity hub. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is the way Destiny 2 is going to go? He was right about everything else in the leak post. And if so, are you excited about having like one major giant play space on a planet rather than planet hopping around? Or would you rather have multiple smaller play spaces on different planets like we have now?
Gray looks like he's ready to answer. Gray?
I'm answering, sorry.
I'm just joking. He's messing with his mic. Jez, continue, please.
My thought is, as long as they keep the one play space varied and not have the exact same thing the entire play space, sure, that's fine.
What does that mean exactly? Same exact what?
Well, if you go on Mars, all you see is red. And you go somewhere else, it's all red. More red, and more red. As long as Saturn is like... Sorry, lightning. As long as you can go from one area to the next, and you go from like desert, and then a forest, and then volcano land, and then ice world. Well, it wouldn't be like Mario, but I mean, as long as you're not in the same environment the entire time.
Gotcha. I agree.
Like the entirety of Taken.
Well, what if there is like planet core type stuff and like the surface was all the same, and then there's the planet like had different levels inside, like is different environmental like rooms, if you will, like within that world good enough, or do you need like variable environment too?
Well, the moon you could kind of break up into two parts. There's above ground, below ground, and if it's just two parts, it's still not that varied. You're still dealing with the same area. I mean, it's two different areas, but it's not like as varied as going from Mars to Venus.
Right.
Sharks, what do you make of this?
Okay, so it's really hard for me to say, oh, well, I don't want that, because I don't know how expansive, how I don't really know how big that it potentially could be. I have played lots of different games over the years that have had really only one space that have been big. For instance, Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls is is a pretty expansive place, right? And you go into different sections, kind of like what Jez is saying, is like, oh, this is going to be mountainous, this is going to be that. It's not just going to be the same spot over and over and over again, like Mars, where it's all just red. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if this is true. It does kind of change the whole way of the way we think of Destiny as it is right now, though, because obviously going to, being able to go to Venus, being able to go to Mars, being able to go to Earth and whatnot, it's been kind of interesting. But they've kind of split it up. Like with Rise of Iron, they made it where you go to the Cosmodrome, but you don't really go back to all the old spaces. So, having just one big giant space with all kinds of stuff, I don't see that as an issue.
What if we're landlocked to begin with in Destiny 2? What if we barely make it on Earth and crash land on Saturn, and we're currently stranded on Saturn? Would that be all right with you?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, we're going to be on Earth at the beginning, right? Because everything happens at the tower. And there's been lots of different talk about what parts we're going to go to. We could still have there have been even people that have speculated that, we're not going to have ships, we're not going to have ghosts at the beginning of the game, which they're just all basing this off of the pictures and whatnot. But there's the possibility of having the tower space where, let's say we don't have ships, okay? We have the tower space, we have all that land out there, we go out and explore that land, and then maybe we get a ship, and that is our flying to old Chicago, and seeing stuff like that, because based off of some of the old concept art, and just doing everything on Earth. And then with the next expansion, which is Osiris, then you would go to Mercury. So that would be our next big thing. And then they would have this just one big place all over Mercury. And then go with Old Rasputin with the next DLC, and do something like I don't know, wherever they want to have that based on, but it could be another planet too. I don't know. I don't think that that's an issue. I think people are freaking out about it. But if you look at the way Destiny 2 is, we already know that it's 68 gigs. Well, look at what Destiny is right now. It's, if I remember right, it's 55 in total. So you're talking about...
That's with all DLCs.
Yeah, you're talking about everything that we've gotten so far in Destiny jam-packed into one game. Now, mind you, that's going to be having stuff to work it for probably 4K, maybe 60 frames per second.
Well, Sharks, I'm going to have you pause here just a second.
Okay.
More because our listeners need to hear just a different tonality than that falsetto just for a few seconds. Remember that
I talk too much, okay?
You know what I was going to do, Gray? I was going to say, hey, can anyone hear Sharks? I see him talking. And then I was going to be like, oh, well, sorry, Sharks, we can't hear you right now.
No. But one thing I want to bring up is Destiny 1 is a big game that was coded originally not in the most efficient way, right? It's been pretty well documented that in order for Destiny 1 to perform well on old gen, it had to be coded in such a way that probably made it a larger game than it needed to be. So what that essentially means is I think that they're going to get a lot more bang for their buck when it comes to the size of the game at Destiny 2. Relatively speaking, we're going to see a lot more than we would anticipate just from that additional 10 gigs bigger than Destiny 1.
Okay, that is an interesting take.
And also, my take would be that the download size does not matter.
This is true.
Because it could be stored in any weird way. If they don't compress the audio files, that's going to be a huge game.
Well, Jez would say that the download size doesn't matter.
Hey, I'm not compensated with extra audio files.
So So when I think about, the idea of one large area, I think of games like Just Cause 3. Just Cause 3 is absolutely gigantic, especially if you're not traveling by vehicle. If you're not traveling by vehicle, it is insanely huge, and I just feel like I know that I tripped myself up when Destiny 1 came out because I was comparing it to other games at the time, but I feel like Destiny 2 absolutely positively has no longer any more excuses. I will buy I will happily buy that Destiny 1 was held back by, as Gray coined it, old gen, and I'm happy with that, especially because on old gen they did such an amazing job. I love the Xbox 360, easily one of my favorite systems. And when I compare it, because in the beginning I was playing on the Xbox 360 and I was playing on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox 360 still looked fantastic. It still played fantastic, looked fantastic, played fantastic. So I get it, but now, I mean, Destiny 2 100% has to be competitive to every game that's on the market right now. Like there's no reason, because Bungie is a bunch of talented people, like hugely talented people, and they've had time and they've had feedback, and all of Destiny 1 has bought them this buffer to make something that's absolutely fantastic. So when I hear what Agrios was describing, yeah, I want an insanely large landmass. I want to be lost. I want to pick a direction. Like, this is how I play Skyrim. I pick a direction and I do whatever quests are in that direction. I look in caves in whatever direction that is. I just enjoy walking in a direction and exploring. But this will be with friends instead. Alicia, what did you think of what Agrios just read? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, it does. I'm trying not to read all of the spoilers or anything because I want my experience of Destiny 2 to be the same as it was for Destiny 1 by not looking at anything. But I think that would be awesome to explore what our world is. We've explored what Mars and Venus looks like. I'd like to see what Earth looks like now in this timeline. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, just to be clear, I try to keep myself like story spoiler and stuff like that, visual spoiler free. But like as far as like knowing that, okay, well, Destiny 2 is going to be mainly one giant sized map for you to explore rather than a bunch of different planets. See, that sort of thing doesn't bother me.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also, this is just one guy's speculative leak from over a year ago, or wait, not over a year ago, from 6 months ago. So just discussing those points there. This isn't any sort of official information whatsoever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Rapidly running out of time. What else do you have for us, Agrios, before we move on to ending the show?
Bungie bounty. The next target is going to be Holtzman. He'll be using his bounty stream to raise money for StackUp.org. It's a veteran charity that supports men and women of the military through youth support and donations of video games. He's broadcasting from Tennessee. It's going to be at 12 p.m. Pacific on the 10th on PlayStation 4 in the Clash playlist. So the hunt is on for Holtzman.
Excellent.
And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's everything. April Fool's was this week. April Fool's Day was this week, and the Warframe subreddit actually stole the style sheet with permission from the Destiny the Game subreddit and posted that up over everything on their site. So aside from the actual text of the posts, the two sites were identical, and that was kind of amusing.
Oh man, that's crazy talk. I would have loved to have seen that. Excellent. Alicia, is there anything that you wanted to bring up, a topic that you thought would be interesting to talk about before we go? I think you're muted.
I am. But no, I'm sorry. I don't have any topics.
No need to be sorry. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Sharks, is there anything you want to talk about before we had to go?
There's so much stuff I want to talk about, but we don't have time. So make sure you tune in next week, and I will talk about ornaments because I have an issue with ornaments. We're going to talk about toys because there's lots and lots of toys that I want to talk about. and I'm sure all kinds of other stuff if we can squeeze it in.
Excellent. Jez, is there anything that you want to talk about before we go?
Persona 5 is really good.
Is it? I want you to sell me on it. I want you to
like-
sell me on it at some point in the future, because I'm aware of the series, but I'm curious to know if I should just pick it up. Like when I started Final Fantasy 15, it said for first timers and fans, and so we'll talk about that later. Gray, is there anything you wanted to talk about before we left?
Yeah, Persona 5. I want to get into it too, but I read it's got an average playthrough time of 80 to 100 hours, and I don't know if I can do that.
You could.
Same things too about Persona 5, like you were just saying about Final Fantasy, that like this is a good one for a first timer to come in on.
Interesting, because that makes it much more interesting for me to check out. But you know what you could do, Gray, is just not play all of that. Like right now, I haven't picked up Horizon Zero Dawn in a couple of days, and I might not, for another week because of Iron Banner coming up. So you could just play what you could play out of it. Just a thought. Agrius, is there anything you wanted to bring up before we left?
Nope.
Great. Well, then that's it. That is our show. We're going to do some shout outs, starting with Alicia.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to give a shout out to Destiny Track, of course. You can follow us at Destiny Track on Twitter. Follow the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play at Destiny Tracker Podcast. And you can tune into the show live Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch TV / Destiny Track.
Very, very cool. Gray.
My shout out goes to Lawn Boy this week. Guardian 1 kind of knows kind of the stuff that he's going through because he shared it with us in the chat, and just wanted to let him know that all of our thoughts are going out to him, and that hopes that everything kind of goes well for these next few days, and that we're here to help and support you, man. We love you, brother.
I'd like to add to that very quickly that Lawn Boy puts on a big face. He puts on a very I'm tough. You don't have to be tough around us, man. We're your friends. You can let the walls down. We're here for you. Sharks.
Well, first off, I want to thank Alicia for joining us. Those of you that are not following her, go and follow her. Alicia. Oh my gosh, I've suddenly blanked on what's your Twitter
Alicia
handle?
Rose Art.
Alicia Rose Art.
God, why did I do that right when my shout out? Okay, so go and follow her. She is awesome at her job. And I also want to thank everybody that I've been running raids with the last couple weeks. And those of you that have pulled me into raids like Mark Square and Jaded and even with Agrios going in and doing LFG, because I just love this game and just love playing. So, and of course, raids are the thing. So thank you to all of you.
Excellent. Agrios.
Well, first off, thanks for joining us today, Alicia. It is awesome having you on the show. You're an awesome artist. And my shout out this week goes to Sharks for showing up at the last minute and helping me get my Crota challenge done in literally the last hour before reset with my LFG group while he was well past his bedtime and was getting no more rewards because he'd done it 5 times already that week. So my shout out goes to Sharks for that. And yeah.
Excellent, Jez.
My shout out is to Lady On.
Who?
Play Persona 5.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you, Jez. And my shout out goes to Alicia. Thank you very much for joining us this week. It's really great to meet all of these people who bring something special into the Destiny community. You aren't just a player of the game, and you're not just an artist. You've mixed these two things up, and I feel like that just makes the community that much richer. Everybody adding their own little bit. It really does validate how much I love the game and how much time and effort I put into the things outside of the game. And meeting you and having you on the show has been really great. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And, I'm completely new at all this stuff, at what podcasts are, and I'm learning so much. So thank you. I really appreciate it. It was an honor being here.
This is my 128th episode, and I still have no idea what I'm doing. If anyone out there who's listening who wants to start a podcast, the bottom line is you just have to really want to talk about what it is that your podcast is about. And I've just let it fuel, what's happening here. What's happening here is I love this conversation. I love meeting with new Guardians. I love talking about Destiny. I love Bungie. I give them a bunch of crap, but I love them, and that's why. You got to be harsh, or else they're not gonna make the game that you want to make it. So that wraps up episode 128. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.